It's time again for Drummer Nation Live. Hey, is the music industry dying? Some people think so. Wingman guest Evan Stone will help me make some sense of it. Coming up next on Drummer Nation Live. It's time for Drummer Nation.
Introducing the Star Festival snare drum from Gary Astridge, a handcrafted and precision replica of the rarest and most iconic of drums, Ringo Starr's 1963 Ludwig Jazz Festival. Each instrument is authorized and hand-signed by Ringo Starr and will benefit his charity, the Lotus Foundation.
These Regal Tip Session sticks feel great. They kind of put me in the mindset of a thinner and lighter 5A. Go to regaltip.com, order a pair, or go to your nearest music store. Pick up a pair and let us know exactly how you feel about the stick.
Hello everyone, my name is David Victor. I'm General Manager with the Craviato Drum Company. We wanted to offer a one-ply, solid shell product, but we wanted it to stay true to our mission of offering handmade drums of uncompromised quality built here in the USA. So take a listen to our Center Stage Series drum set.
Memphis Drum Shop is the world's premier provider of percussion instruments. With 6 showrooms of gear, mycymbal.com, the Memphis Gong Chamber, and a first-rate repair department, turn to Memphis Drum Shop for all your percussion needs. All right, let's get it rolling here. I have Evan Stone, filmed yesterday. It's really hard to do this stuff live. This part is live, but I sometimes have pre-recorded segments. So I've got some articles here. Top 10 reasons why the music industry is failing. How the music industry is putting itself out of business. How one generation was single-handedly able to kill the music business. So according to these, we're in bad shape, man, and getting worse. The ship, as the song says, ain't that a hole in the boat? Anyway, Evan's going to help me sort it out, and it's in 2 parts. I'll stop in the middle. But before we get started, we don't know, man. This is a couple of guys talking, and we happen to be drummers and veterans, but it's a couple of guys talking. The idea is not for us to fill you in, but to get you thinking and make your own decisions about this. Your comments are welcome. I won't be able to show them during the pre-record, but we'll talk about them if you wish to comment. So here's my conversation with Evan Stone, starting with, we're going through some of the top 10 reasons why the music industry is failing and offering our thoughts. Hope you like it. It's an article about high-res audio nowadays. And it puts it in sync here, man, with what's up. It says that, whoops, that was my bad. That's part 2. Here's part 1. Reasons why the music industry is failing. So I'm going to throw out a few of them and see what you think. All right? And I'll put in the show notes or something. Well, I got a bunch of articles here from who knows where and who knows when, but they're just fuel for talking. Record labels stopped doing their job, which was to nurture and promote over the long haul and focus on the next new thing and develop them. And now it's all about formula. And for that, I would refer you to a certain producer, writer named Max Martin. You know who that is?
Refresh my memory.
Max Martin is a guy nobody's ever heard of, who's written more hits than anybody but Lennon and McCartney. And he's produced more hits than anybody but George Martin. And nobody's ever heard of him. But he's worked with Ed Sheeran, Adele, Maroon 5, Timberlake, Kelly Clarkson, NSYNC, Pink, Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys, Celine Dion, Usher, Avril Lavigne, Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, Christina Aguilera, Justin Bieber. You see what I'm saying?
So nobody really of note.
Yeah, right. but that's all from one guy. That's one producer, one writer. And so anyway, let's leave that one. The next one said the record labels became too big too big to service the industry because they were part of conglomerates and they needed larger profits. You know, they all got bought by 2 or 3 conglomerates, and of those conglomerates, the record companies were the worst performing aspects of their portfolio.
Yeah, I mean, Frank Zappa talked about, the industry and why things were changing about, like the old guard and the guys in the 60s that were taking chances on new music and experimental things, and how, the new guys kind of came in and they were way more conservative. You can look it up on YouTube. Look at
I've seen that video.
Very interesting. But also with the, with the kind of system that we live in, we tend to have companies that see smaller companies start to become successful and then, gobble them up, and so all these subsidiary companies become part of this bigger conglomerate thing, and then it becomes like oops, hold on a second, my guitar's falling.
No, I get it. They're all looking for the next mega hit instead of developing an artist.
Yeah. And it's almost like there's only now like 2 or 3 labels that are making these decisions, and they're looking for that success formula. They're not willing to take any chances. So we wind up seeing, and listening to this cookie cutter type situation where everything kind of sounds, similar, and it's boring. It's just music got to a point, for me anyway, where it was not very interesting. I mean, I don't want to be negative and say it like that, but I mean, because I listen to a lot of different things, but I mean, mainly my desire and my passion are, in instrumental jazz and blues and funk, and I mean, I listen to folk and singer-songwriter stuff, but and I go on the other side of things too, but I just think that, I think it's good in a sense that the industry kind of collapsed, because it helped push out all these things that most people weren't really getting access to, or not that they couldn't get access to, but I don't think they had the right channels to figure out how to get access to them.
Okay, well, I'll count that as a yes. Okay, the record labels stopped doing their jobs. I think so. Record labels became too big. I think so. How about the next one? Lack of talent and personality. This is one that musicians our age bandy about a lot. All these great artists who have died, are there similar artists taking their places? Or are we really kind of looking at a shallow talent pool these days?
Well, but that's the other side of the coin. The other side of the coin is, if everybody now is record producers and artists and, and valid, and we've leveled the playing field and everybody has a chance and opportunity to get their stuff out there, now you got to sift through the great stuff as well as the crap. And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of crap out there.
Yeah, but the question is there the great stuff? Who's taking Aretha Franklin's place?
Well, there's an argument for what's happening with musicianship on that, that kind of a level. I do believe that there's great musicians that are coming up. I think the newer generations, I think it's different than it was when I listened to music from 50s, 60s, 70s, and I listen to those musicians and I think, wow, they were so great. All those bands in the 70s, they're blowing my mind, But, what was it? Was it that it was a different time and kids grew up with less crap to deal with, so they had more time to practice their instrument? Yeah. I don't know. But
none of us know. None of us know. We're taking stabs at these answers.
Well, yeah, but I do think that there's great musicians that are coming up, and I do also see, as a result of music being taken out of schools, which has been happening for the last 20 some odd years, the art programs are being removed. Music in general and art in general is viewed as not as important. I think they just listed. I watched this list of for college students. They said the most useless thing you could do with your time in college is to study liberal arts. So that's on the bottom of their list. Right?
Well,
so what does that mean? I mean,
Motown used to almost be have a civic responsibility. Those were local men and women they found, and that was part of the Detroit thing. Was these were our homegrown people who were here, and we nurtured them and found this talent. So
sure, and and the colleges are supposed to do that to a degree. But I think, you know, I think the student, when they get to college, they should be able to play before they even get there. You know, they should, you know, have a lot of talent. So it's really kind of forced the individual and the parents to nurture that in their child if they see it, as opposed to hoping that the school system was going to do anything with it. And there are, you know, I mean, I have some students that go through programs, and some school programs are great, but I would say on the whole, the arts have been squashed in this country. You know, so I think that's a big reason, perhaps.
Good point.
Less.
Let's give them a maybe on that. Lack of talent and personality, because there are too many other things going on that have taken away from that. Next one, traditional roles have disappeared, and they're talking about artists calling themselves songwriters with little knowledge of music theory, composition or song structure or appreciation of styles, and producers with minimal studio experience and limited understanding of orchestration, arranging, voice leading, all those kinds of things.
Again, there's two sides to that. There's what you're saying to be probably true in certain aspects. I mean, I know a lot of engineers that have decided to put on the producer hat just because they know how to run the computer and all that stuff. So they have enough information and enough experience to say, well, I can kind of tell the guy how to play, and maybe I'll just produce this stuff. I mean, what gives anybody, you know, the stamp of approval to say, okay, now you're ready to produce music? I don't know. I mean, I produce my own stuff. I produce stuff for other people. I didn't go to school to learn how to do that. You know, I kind of did it on my own, and through my own abilities and experiences have decided that I would like to give it a shot. I mean, I have to self-produce my own stuff, and you know, but it's, you know, that role.
I don't know if it was Spielberg. It was one of those major directors that said, "What's all this film school bullshit? Just make a fucking movie."
Well, that too, and then here's the other side of it is okay, good. Now, if we get rid of the traditional role, if we get rid of, because I'll be honest with you, and I'm not going to mention any names, but let's just say that I had an experience where our band was so self-produced before we even went into the studio, okay, that we didn't need a producer, but the label that was handling our stuff said, this is the producer that's going to produce your record. And I took offense to that, you know, because I didn't want anybody interfering with what we had already worked, you know, a year for, writing these songs and practicing every weekend, and we had it. And so he gets the credit at the end of the day for producing a record that he didn't really do anything on.
Good point. Good point. Next one, fan abuse. I appreciate your answers, and neither one of us are pretending like we got the definitive word on this.
No,
it's a good discussion, though. Fan abuse. Over the past 20 years, the music industry has abused the fans with unnecessarily high CD prices. That a lot of it was library stuff that they recorded 50 years ago, and the CDs were $15 and $20. And was that worth it? And one thing I remember pointing out in the late 90s, when the movie Titanic came out, it was a $100 million movie, $100 million movie. And it had a soundtrack in it, brilliant soundtrack. And it was $15. Meanwhile, your jazz record that cost $5,000 to produce at the time was $20. Now, I know that you can't really compare apples and oranges like that, but to the end user, yes, they can compare it. You know?
Yeah, they can.
Sure can.
And that's what I think that's probably falls into that layover situation of, well, if music is going to be taken, or if it's going to be downloaded for free, et cetera, where does the artist make their money? If the artist is signed to a major label and the label has control over the product that's being sold, then it's really up to them to decide, you know, how they're going to price it, or the stores have a say too in what they charge. But if you are an individual independent and you decide, well, if I'm going to sell a CD, and it's probably going to happen in a live situation, or because obviously, I mean, we know that Tower Records and all those places closed down. Why? Because people weren't going out and buying music anymore. They were getting it for free. So where's the artist going to make their money? How are they going to sustain themselves? And they wound up doing it in charging maybe more and exorbitant prices for their product, as well as exorbitant prices at the box office to go, listen to them play.
Good
You know?
point. Here's another one. MP3s sound horrible. Drummers seeking a quick and easy way to muffle bass drums on the fly, look no further. Muffbone offers an effective way to instantly dial in your sound in just a few seconds while seated at the kit. Find out more at muffbone.com.
Our latest innovation has opened the door for all drummers to have the same access as top musicians in the world. Custom cymbals. Now available to everyone. Your next sound just got more interesting. Sabian Custom Shop.
Hi, this is Stanton Moore. I've been playing and teaching drums for over 30 years. My new site, Stanton Moore Drum Academy, is the perfect online drum learning platform for any level drummer to learn how to play the drums the same way I did. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of you as subscribers on the site, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun.
Okay, we'll continue with this freewheeling conversation in just a moment. This is the article we are referencing. Hub Pages, I don't know who this guy, R.D. Streets, is. It's from a few years back, but there's the 10 reasons, and we're not touching on all of them, but many of them. So if you want to look this up, just Google top 10 reasons why the music industry is failing. Yeah, that's the title. Okay. Pay attention to our sponsors, please. I only use 8 15-second spots. It's the beginning and the middle. So these guys are very important to us. Let's get back to the second part of this. I don't think it's as long as the first, but Evan and I are going to dig through this article a little more. And your comments are welcome. Here we go. It's an article about high-res audio nowadays. And it puts it in sync here, man, with what's up. It says that streaming things like Spotify and Pandora use a bit rate of 160 kilobytes per second. Okay? An MP3 uses 320. Okay? But a CD is 29 times higher at 44.1 than an MP3. And a high-resolution audio at 92.6 or whatever it is 7 times higher than that of a CD. So you've got 90-something versus 160, and it's just shit that they're hearing.
Well, here's an interesting thing about that. A couple of things. Number one, Neil Young tried to put out a high-res product called Pono a couple of years ago. I don't know if you're familiar with that, the Pono device. He did an excellent job fundraising. He had Sting and Elton, and he had all the major acts. He did filmed this thing, showing them all, checking out his product and listening to it and talking about it, and then he would film, just random people on the street that had headphones on that were used to listening to MP3s. And they put on his, headphones and listened to the Pono device, and they were like, "Oh my God, this sounds so great!" And it did probably to them, because they probably heard a huge difference in the sound quality. But then there was a study that was done with several students, college students, where they played for them MP3s, and then they played CDs, I guess, or they played high-res music, and a majority of them apparently picked the MP3.
Really?
Why? Not because it sounded better, is because they had an emotional attachment to that sound. Wow. So there is that. When you grow up with something, when you grow up with whatever candy it was popular in the 70s or 80s, is not going to be the same thing that the generation that grew up with gummy bears and Sour Patch Kids. And then the crazy stuff that's happening, everybody's got their own.
I understand it's
flavor.
a different palate. Where you see that, people who are dieting and they drink diet sodas and they go out to dinner and they're blowing it out, right? And they have a big meal and they have cheesecake and they have everything else and they order a Diet Coke. And you say, why are you doing that? Because you're ordering nothing else on the menu. Well, it's what I'm used to. It's the taste I'm used to.
That's correct. That's correct. And it clearly we can see that with people that, and like you said, their palate. But when you see people that are eating food that you think might not be so good or bland, and they're just like, "Oh, this is amazing," and they're like, "Well, what are you used to eating?"
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
So I think that's part of what we're experiencing with the MP3. But I think if you educate people and you let them, and if they were given that choice, if the because obviously the technology is there, so if they're able to be given these choices and say, okay, let's kind of remove the MP3 now and let's just replace it with high res. We have the capability to come up with devices, and we have we don't have to walk around with huge headphones anymore. You have those wireless things that Apple just came out with. So I mean, I see everybody walking around the streets with headphones on, or listening to music. So we have the technology to do it. Who's going to make that transition finally to say, okay, gone is the MP3 and now it's just high res? I mean, I think that's coming. I just don't know when it's going.
Yeah, and I don't think it really has anything to do with the music industry. I don't think people are saying, "Gee, I'd buy a lot more music if it was a little more high res in my ears."
They don't know.
They don't know, and that's a trade-off they've made anyway because it's super mobile, it's super compact, it goes wherever they want. They've already made that trade-off like we did when we went from vinyl to CDs. You can't put a vinyl, you can't put a record in your pocket, and we all said, great, CDs. And we knew they weren't the same as vinyl.
Well, we both know of a time before HD TV, too. We didn't seem to have a problem watching our programs.
That's right. Yeah, and people are still watching Jackie Gleason and I Love Lucy and Leave It to Beaver and Bonanza and all that other stuff. Nobody says, boy, I wish Bonanza was in high def.
Right. Well, but there's that emotional attachment to watching those. It's the same thing. It's like you watch the nostalgia of it in black and white movies. You color a black and white movie and maybe it's not the same as if when you remember it when it was in black and white. That's a very good point. A
black and white movie was, they labored like an Ansel Adams photograph over every shade and nuance of black and gray and depth and saturation and density. That was all very sophisticated, and people just go, kids can't dig black and white. They don't understand it.
But it's a different feeling.
Very different. Okay, the last one I'd like to touch on, and I've got tons of this stuff about other aspects of the music industry. We can make this a multi-parter, but I don't want to go too long. I like this one because I would agree with this. Focus is on beats over melody. I've always said I love me some James Brown, and I love me some. I'll take Sitting on the Dock of the Bay over Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, even though they're both brilliant, but one of them's got a melody. You know what I'm saying?
I think Western culture, in general, was kind of weaned on melody first. I mean, that's why we grow up as children remembering nursery rhymes in here in the States, and I think other Western civilizations as well. But it's different than if we grew up in say India or Cuba or places where everybody knows clave and everybody in certain areas feels rhythms, and I'm sure in Africa it's different, and not that they don't have melody in their music, but I think classical music, I think we're heavily Western civilization was more pounding the classical music, and so melody was a little bit more important. Now that we're listening and we're bringing in and we've brought in for many decades now other cultures and African rhythms to our Western music. That birthed, obviously, rap music. Early rap music in the 80s was just the beat, really. It was the beat and rapping over it. That was the original stuff that, that I heard. I wasn't a huge fan of it back then. Over time, some of it started to grow on me, and I appreciated it. And then it kind of morphed into, there was lots of melodies going on over those beats and rap. So things have definitely morphed. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say that the melody is like there's too much importance on rhythm. I think rhythm, I think we talked about this, touched upon it last time a little bit, or maybe we did or didn't. I don't know. But how if we're going to find the new thing, whatever that new thing is, and I don't mean to say this, because I'm biased or whatever. I'm a drummer, but I think and I think we agreed, what helps define a music is the beat itself. So, that is an important thing and to remember if we're looking to move forward into a different direction and create another genre of music. Is it must start with that beat, and so I think that's where we need to start to find that next thing that we're looking for, and then because let's face it, a great song doesn't need drums.
Right.
So, I think lyrics and melody, they're always there. It's the marriage of those two things that creates the modern
music.
music.
I think it's a
right?
personal choice of how much melody you need versus, Stanton and I have talked about this. Stanton Moore, a great New Orleans musician, proponent of that music. I've said, Stanton, I love New Orleans music, and I love the rhythm and how deep and complex it is. But if I had to pick a bone with it, the melodies are often nursery rhymes. The melodies are Little Liza Jane and Iko Iko and na-na-na-na-na-na, it's stuff like that. Nobody really cares because the rhythm is so amazing, right?
So there's this balance. Like, what do you focus on, and what are, look, I mean, I love, like you said, I love listening to Al Green and simple drum beats that don't necessarily, take center stage, but it provides a certain feel. I mean, there's a certain thing going on that's helping, move that along. So it's not just a piano and a vocal or a guitar and a vocal. So I think it's all important, obviously. I don't know if, what's the problem? They're saying that there's just not any attention going on. There's no hooks and anymore in modern music. Is that what they're complaining?
Many of our modern producers only know how to address this need by lifting melodies from other people's music.
All right.
It's legal with permissions, but it's kind of like cheating. That if you look at music as having melody, harmony, rhythm, and lyrics,
it's all important.
Well,
right?
neither you or I know anything other than better than anybody else. It's going to be what hits you, right? It could be a classical music with a beautiful melody that takes 10 minutes to realize, or something quick and hits you, but it makes you move. It hits you below the waist, so to speak.
Yeah, and there's something to what they're saying about what's happening with lifting melodies. I mean, I would definitely say that my advice to up and coming writers would be really stop doing covers and stop lifting melodies and sampling stuff, and really just come up with an original idea. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that difficult to come up with original ideas. You have to work a little bit harder than just, I could just pump this thing out. I'll just grab this loop right here and do that and whatever. But I don't know. I mean, there's an argument for both sides.
Of course. Well, that's why we're here, man. I just want to expose the directions and let everybody make their own decisions. We can go on with this next time about. I've read some great articles about what musicians actually do to make a living, because most of us don't make a living from recorded music and songwriting and all those other things. We do gigs. That's another conversation, though. As far as this kind of stuff, the state of music today, I like what Miles Davis said. He said, it's all social music, man. You just find what you like and let the rest go by.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
but I have told more than one kid when he plays me something that just sounds like death and destruction, that there's going to come a time when he's sitting with his best babe on a Saturday night and a bottle of wine, and he's not going to be listening to that, or he's liable to be sitting there by himself. So we'll leave it on that one then, all right?
Right on. Well, I think we're going to see some interesting things happening in the industry in the next 5 to 10 years. Mm-hmm. I think a shift is coming.
Yeah, I think so. And let's all might as well be optimistic, right?
Well, we have another choice.
Yeah, right. I tell you what ruined it all was talkies. Talkies, man. You used to have a gig playing organ in a theater.
Yeah.
Movies got sound, and we've been fucked ever since. I didn't really say that, did I? All right, Evan. I'll talk to you soon, and we'll take on another topic next time.
Cheers.
Thank you
Thanks for
so
having me.
much. Bye-bye. There you go. Talkies. Blame it all on that. No, my point was that people have been saying that the demise of the music industry has been overstated for so many years. You might remember a group of great West Coast musicians called themselves the Wrecking Crew. Why? Because they were wrecking the music industry. Still there, right? So I don't think it's rosy out there right now, and I don't discount how bad everything is. But, life goes on, music goes on. There's a lot of great young talent. I still stand positive on this, or optimistic. All right, coming up. Well, first of all, you got Matt Wilson on our podcast show, soon to have a new one with Tina Raymond. I've got Danny Seraphin already done. There's a bunch of them coming up. If you want to submit some show topics to me, let me know. Please sign up for our Drummer Nation newsletter on our website, and you'll get something that looks like that. If you're feeling generous, why don't you go to Patreon, look up Drummer Nation, and pledge us a little something. $1 a week, man. Come on. It wouldn't hurt me. Would help me, would help everybody to keep these kind of things going, because they are pretty much a labor of love. Now, my secret real life is as a drummer. So I have secured some gigs as a leader here in Woodstock, Georgia on some Sundays. Look at my personal Facebook or website or whatever. If you're in the area, come on by. Come on by. All right. That's going to wrap it up for today. I don't want to go much further than we already have, about a half an hour, a little longer. So I'm going to give you a scroll of most of our sponsors there. And these are people who allow the show to post on their own Facebook pages. If you'd like that, just let me know. Okay? I'll keep the live shows coming once a week with some guests and stray cats, and we'll have a lot of fun. All right, see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye. And by the way, special thanks to guest Evan Stone.